I do a little. All right, everybody, we are live. Got Drew Boyd and myself here, and we have two very, very special guests tonight. That being said, I would like to introduce Brian Dunbar and Matt Francis tonight.
What's up, guys?
Say hi.
Super excited to have you guys. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
There's been so many people in the old school nation, the forums that we've been posting this up as kind of a precursor, and people are like, "Oh, this is gonna be so awesome." You know, a lot of people are talking about Francis. He's like, "Oh, he was so legit. He's such a legit guy." So, yeah, we're just excited to talk about old school stories, talk about the event a little bit, and it's just gonna be great content for everybody in the old school world to rewatch this video, watch it live. We'll get comments live as well. So, welcome everybody. It's going to be a great night.
Thanks, Drew.
Let me start out this way, man. It's super cool what you guys are doing. If I would have known that the old school stuff would have had such an impact and value, I probably would have kept a lot more of my things. I've given away a lot of stuff over the years, and now I see people looking for white ball cups or red ball cups or whatever, and I go, man, I had so much of that stuff.
Yeah, I know those red ball cups are like absolute treasures to find online right now. You know, you find a set of those, it's like $300, and you're like, whoa, okay, all right, let's go.
I could retire on that.
But yeah, I mean, it brings up a good story. I mean, I know Dunbar had the same experience. You know, he didn't have his car left from '97. All he had left was the body and maybe the motor. I think that was all that was left of that car.
Yeah, here's a picture. Here's what Drew did for me. He remade my car. It's a replica, identical replica.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
You qualified ninth there?
Yeah, ninth. Yeah.
Ninth to second.
Barely
man.
made it. Yeah.
Jay qualified
awesome.
Ninth and got second. Yeah, such an amazing. That was an amazing project that I was so fortunate to work with Brian on. You know, I kind of approached Jason Grimes a little bit and said, "Hey, have you ever done a replica for Brian? Because I know he doesn't have that car." And he's like, "No, I never have, but let's see what we can do." And so that kind of got the ball rolling. And I studied. And the crazy thing about Brian's '97 car was that there was just no pictures that were hardly available of it. There was like one picture in a magazine of the car on the grid. And so I'm like zooming in on this car with like a magnifying glass, trying to just understand where these decals were on this car and trying to pick his brain at the track. And he's like, "Yeah, you know, I think I didn't run any, you know, blue things on it. I didn't run any purple stuff." And then we had to talk about how that antenna was shooting up the back. So I kind of, you know, picked it was just so crazy. And his memory, you know, he may not appreciate it, but his memory was pretty dang vivid of what that car was, even, you know, almost 20, 30 years later. So,
well, I actually had to look at my shirt, the shirt that I was wearing, and based upon that, I knew electronics had my car. But that was about it, you know. Like, but I had no pictures of anything. I mean, just you know, like whatever the magazine had. Didn't even think to do. You know, there's a lot of pictures of me in the pit, but we never had any of the car.
There wasn't. It was so crazy.
But yeah, I mean,
Brian, your dad probably had some with a car up in the tree or something, you know.
So yeah, Matt seemed like where my dad would take pictures of like the cars when he'd paint a body and put them on the sidewalk and get down on his knees, or in a rock garden or something like that. And he'd frame them like big ass pictures and put them on the wall.
I'm proud of your boys, Brian. What are you talking about?
Huh?
I say you got to be proud of your boys, you know?
Yeah.
That's
well,
right.
He was proud of those bodies he painted. That's what it was. He painted those bodies. One time he took, like, when we raced like sedan, he had a you know, like the front of the car would get blown out from me hitting the pipe, and he took a half a bike inner tube, bicycle inner tube, and pop ribbed the rubber on the front. I'm sure it weighed a ton, but it didn't show any more bangs on the body after that. That was pretty cool.
He was more worried about protecting the scratch.
I got a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah. Dave's great. He was at the track last night when me and Brian were racing together, and he's just so hard on Brian. You know, I mean, Brian will come off the track and Brian's like, oh, I was like, you know, he's like, Drew, what'd you think of my Yokomo four wheel there? And I'm like, it looked like it was as perfect as I could ever imagine a four wheel being on a track. And he's like, man, I think I want to do this. And Dave's just like, Brian, just leave the car alone. Come on, man.
He just doesn't like me turning a wrench at all. Like, I'm always working on it. I'm only putting it here, Dad. I got to keep pushing until I know it's right. Yeah. I don't know.
But but with that said, he still comes to the track almost every night that Brian's at Hoosier and watches him race and supports him to this day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he does.
Looks like you guys got a nice place there.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, you can speak on it. It's obviously both of ours home track. I'm 2 hours north of the track. Brian's not very far away. And I guess the story for me is that, I built that car for Brian, and then I was kind of struggling with my setups a little bit down there. Every time I would go down there, I just always felt like I was behind the wheel because I just didn't have the time to practice like people like Brian and these other club guys. And these club guys down there are just so fast. It's so hard to beat them. And so Brian built me this beautiful, four-wheel drive Yokomo and gave me his body at the time. And it was kind of like I bought the kit and then he built it for me. It was like his gift. And he's like, I want to make sure this car is exactly, what I'm running. And so knowing Brian, it always changes. So it took almost a year to get the car from Brian, because every time he would almost get it built, he would want to change a bunch of stuff on the setup before he gave it to me. Anyway, I got to thinking after I got this car, I'm like, Brian, I know it's a really shelf piece, but man, I think I'm going to start running the Yokomo stuff down at Hoosier and work on your setups. And, it's been such a gift because, first of all, it was a rabbit hole to go down to because we talk all the time. He sends me a couple setup sheets a week of, hey, here's what I worked on tonight. You should put this on your car. I'll do it. And then the next day he's like, hey, I practiced some more. I want you to try this stuff too. So it's like, I haven't even got to that point. But to that point, I guess where I'm going with it is it's been awesome for me to have reliable setups when I walk in that building at Hoosier, which is just an amazing place. I can feel like I can compete. I've had my best results and I'm podium now and feel like I'm really in the mix with these guys. And but to your point, Matt, it's an amazing facility. It's big, and it's intimidating, but once you embrace it and get there and start running the cars and the surface that Eddie does, it's an awesome experience. And Brian, tell Matt a little bit about just while we're on the topic, how those vintage cars have been handling inside that track, the Losi XX runner that you have and such.
Yeah, we run. Well, I've practiced. Well, I guess I run on that track now twice. Maybe I think I practiced with it one day, and then we went to Bill's, and then came back and ran it in one of the vintage classes for one of the races we had over the summer, I think. So I don't know, man. It's almost like compared to the new cars, it's like driving a grasshopper. I mean, it doesn't feel like that badass car I used to look at back in the day, But I think if you put like, tires on it, tires that have pins on it or something like, that would be different. But like, we're running on these slick tires, so it's kind of like, man, it's kind of the equivalent when we went
Dalton,
to that.
Georgia, right?
Yeah. That's when we started doing that. We were putting diesel fuel on our tires.
Keith, man.
And I'm trying to remember for the life of me, Kimball had that setup that he put on the car. It was really badass with a sway bar and stuff. So I try to replicate that, but it just doesn't feel. I don't know if the jumps are just bigger now on these tracks, but it jumps like. I don't know. It doesn't jump very good, but I'm still working on it. We got this, race coming up in March. I got plenty of time to prepare. Like I said, the track's about 15 minutes from me. Drew said it is really a fascinating facility. I mean, to be in this, to be a part of this hobby and then take off 15 years and then have this place built in your backyard. It's amazing. All these races that are coming to us. We're getting the Nationals this year. We have the INS race and we have that Clash of Champions. So remember that race, Matt, when I invited you to Columbus?
Yep.
And you kind of got, you know what? That might have been why that race really took off. I mean, that race was always really big in our area, but you were one of the first outside guys that came. And Drake would come, but he was a local, but he would come back to it sometimes. But you came and really, that's when I started losing the race. Remember I told you, I was like, I won this race 5 years in a row, and then Matt comes and this starts winning. I'm like, damn it. But we had some good close races though, in that barn. So anyway, that race in Columbus is now huge, right? It's one of the races that everybody comes to, and so then that building went away. So now we've inherited that race as well at our track. So we have that race in January coming up, and
what was that race called?
That was called the CRC.
That's it.
Yeah. And now it's Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
Now this is, and then they're doing the Clash of Champions Vintage in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and the owners are awesome. So it's a husband and wife. She runs the hobby store, probably one of the best hobby stores, right?
I mean, I call her the queen of RC. She is amazing. This hobby shop has everything. You walk in there. Yeah, she has it. It's incredible. It really is.
He runs the track, and their son is at the Carpet Nats right now, finishing top 10. He's a really good driver. He's grown up quite a bit since I met him at first, but he sat next to me. I mean, we noticed he was a good talent, but he just didn't know much about setting up cars. So he sat next to me and pit next to me for like a whole year, and then finally got his wings, and now he's doing his own thing. But he's really taken off. Great kid, great family. I don't see it going anywhere. When you get a business like that and your family's all into it and you're all work well machine, everybody's happy, and your kids coming up, I think it's got a lot of longevity. And we've seen these tracks. I tell people that this doesn't last forever. Enjoy it while you can. That's what I'm trying to do. But I see this having some longevity, especially while they're running it. I think they're making income. I think with their kid racing and all these big races are coming, it's really a good thing.
Yeah. Sure. Well said, Brian. Well said.
Guys, I'm trying to get us posted to a few other links just so y'all know. If y'all want to chat in the background, I'll be joining y'all really quick. Okay.
So I'll kick it off.
Once again, we got, Matt. Thank you for joining in Dunbar for doing this. We had a vision, right? I had this vision probably 9-10 years ago to really hold a reunion and get all the vintage guys together from the 80s and 90s, right? Bring them to one track. Let's get radios back in their hands if they want to have a radio in their hands, and have some fun, right? Tell the old stories, do a little racing, talk a little shit like we used to back in the day, and have some fun, and to have a two-time world champion on this call tonight, and Brian Dunbar, the race in '97, which to me was one of the most iconic of all time as well. With you finishing right in between Kinwald and Masami. I mean, just wow, and I know you two spent a lot of time together, both at Team Associated and at Losi, correct? So
no, just Losi. And I'm trying to remember. I knew Matt, from racing, but I never really knew him. And the first time I probably got first impression of him was 95 Worlds when I was in Japan. I don't know. I was like, I'm going to go over there and probably see Masami win or Kinwald or whatever. And then Matt Francis wins. And I don't know. I didn't know. I knew his, and his brother was racing as well. So I didn't even know which Francis was what back then. I didn't know. I was like really like a kid. So I was like in awe with these, awesome guys. And there was, just kind of learning my way through with Dad. And man, Matt Francis, and I remember Dean Carnes was my buddy that I went racing with. He still
Stinky Pinky.
Stinky Pinky, yeah, Drag Race Street Outlaws. But he was there with me, so we were over there, and I remember he was he wouldn't stop talking about Matt's run. He said, "Did you see what he did?" And because he put on squared fuzzies, I think, right, Matt? That's what the introduction of squared fuzzies. And we were running some crazy Yokomo tire, something that they gave us to prep for the race, and then here comes Proline out of nowhere with this tire, and so Matt just blisters the track and wins the race. It was really cool. And it's probably one of the most iconic, coolest podium pictures, I think, as well, with you holding the trophy up and just with your head back.
Yeah.
Have you seen the card yet, Matt?
Say again?
Did you see the little card we created you?
Yeah, I did, man. That's really cool, right?
Brings back some memories right there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that race was pretty cool, because we went. I mean, I don't think nobody expected that to happen, myself included. I kind of just got there and everything was just like perfect from the start. And I mean, the rest is history. But I remember we had those tires, right? We had the Yokomo tires that Masami got all set for us. And, I used those for the first few rounds of qualifying and practice. And then Tim Clark from Proline came up to me. He's like, hey, what do you think of these? I'm like, let's throw them on the car. And that's the square fuzzies that are on my car that the Dirk's holding there and or Drew's holding there. And I'm going to put them on there. I remember, let's see, I think I was sitting second already. And then the first 3 rounds with the Yokomo tires, put those on, and I went out in the 4th round of qualifying. And I think I crashed a couple of times, and I come back and I go to my brother, Mark, and I go, dude, you got to get these fucking tires in your car.
Did you crash a few times and still make some badass run? Like it was still like a top 10 run?
I go, so Gene Hustings actually did this article where I think if it would have went by points like today's qualifying rounds, right? I was in the top 3 of all rounds and TQ'd 4 rounds. And anyway, it was pretty awesome. But I came back after the 4th round of qualifying with those tires on, and I just go to my brother and I'm like, dude, you got to get these in your car. And everybody was kind of against it. I was the only one, right? And then I went out like round 5 and crashed a couple more times. I'm like, dude, it's so much better. And then eventually the TQ in the last round. But yeah, it was cool. It was great, man. Epic times, right? I mean, I just remember I was so fucking nervous.
Right?
Like,
were you shaking?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were driving, were you shaking? Yeah.
Yeah. But I've definitely been more nervous in my time. But yeah, everything was super comfortable, and it was an epic. I mean, it set the tone for everything I did going forward.
Yeah,
for sure.
Man, I remember shaking so hard on stands. Still to the day, I still have a hard time, especially when I hear my name. There's a thing when I hear my name and I'm just like, oh shit, I'm really leading. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I get nervous if I don't hear my name. I'm like, what?
Right. That's why I tell them to call me old school at the track. There's just something about hearing that versus hearing my name every time. It's tough, man.
Ryan and I were talking. We were talking this morning on the phone, and we got off on the topic of, you like to hear your name in lights, right? You like seeing your name in lights, and it's a good feeling, and you don't get that much in life. And the thrill you get from driving an RC car and leading a race, I mean, it's pretty amazing, right? I'll forever miss that part of it.
Yeah, like those races awesome. With the crowd standing around, and everybody's just cheering at every little move you make. And it's like almost, and it just kind of fuels your adrenaline. Like somehow you're nervous, you're shaking, you got all this adrenaline, but then you just pull off some stuff you didn't know you could do. Like your body just does it, right? You'll just like instantly, you're like, how to do that?
And then you're shaking so much, and
you're like, how the hell did I even? I mean, yeah, it's you can't replace that, but yeah, I mean, I was telling Matt earlier, I was like, it's like when you've been in that spotlight like he has, and then you step away. I mean, I think you said you just quit one day, right? Just dropped it, and then it kind of went. Now you just figuring out life the way it is, and successful real estate agent, but you don't have that maybe that audience like you had before, so. Yeah, when that goes away, or you miss it, but you find you can't really replace it with anything else unless you find something else you're really good at. But it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those stories are so amazing. Their comments are coming in. People are talking about the crowd and talking about some of these old races, and it's just cool to see these comments popping up. But obviously, you guys are both between almost 3-time world champions here, and we're honored to have you on. But to your point, the INS race this year, I've been working so hard with Brian on the Yokomo buggy setups, and I was in the C main for the 17.5 class, and I made like this crazy last lap pass for the final transfer spot in the C, and the crowd just went nuts in the building. It's like on the mod broadcast, which mod's going to be at this event, and I watched that thing probably 50 times. and just the hairs would stand up on my chest. But it was just the part that I remember so much was, my buddy Matt Hines and then Brian were standing right there when I brought the car over, and they were like running over to me, like fist pumping me, and they're like, I felt like a world champion at that moment, even though it was a C main transfer, so I don't know what you guys were feeling. I can't even imagine the nerves on the stand at a Worlds, but I know that that was so rewarding for me, and it just keeps me, to Matt's point, it's just like, man, it makes you feel super important in that moment, and like you're on top of the world for, even a matter of seconds or whatever. It's just so cool.
Yeah. It was an awesome pass, Drew.
Yeah, Ryan, that's really what we're trying to bring back to this race. So we're really just trying to bring the history of RC back to modern day racing, combining it, but bridging everybody together at this one big race and making it about the legends, but making it about fun, memories, getting the crowd into it, racing, having fun. And so we'll continue to talk more about that, but super exciting. So I got a quick bridge. So I got this amazing car here, 95 car. This is Francis. I was not the first person to replicate this car, but I know that there was a lot of history when I researched it about the tires that he was using, and he used different tires in the quals. And obviously I'm holding it square fuzzy, so I feel like it. But obviously as we transferred the 97 Worlds, Brian, was second place to Kinwald, and Masami was third. And so I was asking Brian last night, I was like, hey, was Francis at the 97 Worlds? And he just kind of laughed and had some stories there. And he's like, yeah, you should ask Matt about how the 97 Worlds went and what he had going on. So Matt, I guess you're on the spot as the bridge to the 97 Worlds out here.
So it wasn't the most successful race for me. I remember we did the warm-up race about 2 months before the Worlds. And mind you, the Worlds were at the ranch, right? Pomona in August, I think it was. It's every year, it's like 110 degrees in August, right? So we were planning, we did the warm-up race a month and a half before. Junior and I worked on the setup. My car was fucking dialed in for the warm-up race, right? I was having some driving issues, but the car was super fast, right? Better lap times than anybody. Then we get to the Worlds and it's cold and foggy and dusty. And everything I did was backwards. The car I built for the warm-up race was 100% off, and I refused to go back to what was working. I refused to go back to Dunbar or Kinwald or Hodap or anybody that was running fast and kind of mimic what they were doing. I had a vision, and I was going down with the ship, and I went down with the ship. But I think I qualified. I don't know. I don't know if I TQ'd the B or I was somewhere in the top of the B,
right?
Second, fourth, or B, and I think I finished somewhere around there. I really don't know. I kind of blacked it out, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I remember just you're sitting there watching the main, right? And here I was, kind of defending champion, and you're watching the main. You're like, I'm not there. Should be me. I felt like I was good enough to be there, and you just like, it sucked. It absolutely sucks to watch the A-main at the Worlds.
Right.
Yes.
No doubt. No matter what you say, but once you've been in that spot, to go anything less of it sucks.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's really hard to watch.
And it's really good perspective.
Brian and I weren't super close then, right? I think as years went on, we got a lot closer friends, and it was pretty awesome to see him get second there. And then, of course, with Kinwald winning, and you want to see your friends do well. If you don't have a shot at it, you want to see your friends do well. But at the end of the day, I wasn't in the show, and it hurt. It was hard. It was really hard to watch that race.
I remember you showing up with that girl that had her fingernails painted the same color as your body.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he gets to sit next to that and watch the main.
Yeah. That was fun. She, there was a full 2-page spread in a European magazine. European magazines of her fingernails. It was like the centerfold. It was.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
really cool.
Pretty awesome. It was a consolation prize for being in the B main, I guess, right? I got the trophy. Whatever.
Now, did Brian did he not have a girl with him at the 97 Worlds, or no?
He probably did it every race, but that's a different point.
There was sand at the beach.
Okay.
When I got second, I don't know, they wanted to take me to the GM guys, took me to this Deja Vu.
Yeah.
And there was something there.
Deja Vu, huh?
Yeah.
What we got here on the screen?
Yeah.
Dunbar, what picture's that?
That is the 97 podium.
That's right. 97 podium, baby.
That's pretty awesome, man. Look at that.
Yeah, Drew built those.
Yeah.
Drew, did you build all those?
I did. I got the Kinwall car. The Kinwall car is such a cool story. That car was so rare to find in the last couple of years. And of course, my good buddy Paul Weber, who owned P&T Hobbies for 30 years, was the second oldest track in the country before it closed. And he had one of those Kinwall cars in the back. And I messaged him and said, Paul, what would it take for me to buy this car from you? And I knew that was like a prized possession of his. And then I did so many races with him and had his 30th anniversary race right before the roof collapsed. And he's like, Drew, this car is yours to have, man. So I got that car and it had this film of dirt all over. It was like P&T dirt, and I started taking the brush to it, like a paintbrush. And like, as soon as I started taking the paintbrush to it, it was like the car was brand new underneath it. And so I kind of studied all the pictures and put all the Kinwall, touches on it. And Darkside hooked me up with the body. And then I built a Masami B3. And then, of course, I have those two here in the basement behind me, some of my prize collections. And then obviously Brian's got that car in his house. And it's building that car for Brian leading up to this point, I think has been my biggest one of my biggest accomplishments in RC. I mean, giving him that car, I know there's video of it out there, but man, Brian was like literally crying when he got handed that car. And there were so many great people behind the scenes that helped with Robert Stevens and Eric Thompson taking the photos and everybody that donated parts to get that done. So I know that Dirk's worked on the Joel car. We talked about that last week with Joel and how much that meant to you. And Joel, obviously building that car for Brian was super rewarding for me. And I know it means a lot to him. He sends me messages all the time. Brian's a great guy. And he's like, man, I just want you to know I saw this car, had kind of an interesting day, and it put it in perspective of how great friends are and what these memories meant to me. And just seeing messages like that, it's like, man, this makes it all worthwhile what I did. So I just appreciate having that opportunity to do that for the vintage community and for Brian. So
Matt, Brian's still pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've had a radio in your hand, Matt?
The Reedy On-Road race, May of 2008. Barry Baker built me a car, an X-ray car, and I came into that race. But other than that, it was I just showed up. It was a show up and drive kind of thing, right? I brought my I think I still had my radio, or I can't remember what it was, my electronics. I showed up and Barry built the car. But before that, it was the 06 On-Road Worlds. Last time I drove an off-road car was the 05 Worlds in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The last time. So 20 years ago. Or 19 years
ago. Right? You drove a TC3 at a Worlds, didn't you?
No, I drove. What did we drive? Did we have the JRXS? We must have. Yeah, I think so.
Well, before we transition to the 2001 and your Losi transition, which I definitely want to talk about that because I think it's going to bring up so many memories of you guys as teammates. So this vintage race that we're holding, the goal is to bring all these legends together. We've got Joel coming, Brian's coming. There's other names that we can't say on air right now because we still got to introduce them. But I mean, you're talking about a driver stand of, 7 to 10, 12 guys that are just, iconic in this industry. And really what we've done is we've designed a class called the Legends class, and it's a 2-wheel drive class that only the legends are going to be in. And so you really have to have a Worlds resume or from the 80s, 90s, or you have to, have some type of credentials in that realm of a Reedy race, etc. So Brian and I have been talking about how are we going to structure this race. Dirk and I have been talking about it, Kirby, everybody that's involved. And so the goal is that class is going to be comprised of all the legends that have either a B2, B3, or a Losi XX. So obviously, the background on this V2 here is that last year at the race that we had where Brian came and competed at Bill's, it was a different track, different platform. Talon Henley, the son of Eddie and Angie, who own Hoosier, I actually let him run this B2. We put some electronics in it, got it all set up with some durability, and put the right tires on it in his body. And he was on the podium with Brian and gave him a run for his money. So I guess the point is that we're not pressuring you at all, Matt, but we would love to have you at this event. And if you do decide to come, I would love to have you run this B2 that would be specifically made with your paint scheme and all the electronics of your choice and whatever you would need to get you up there to have some fun racing with your buddy Brian and all the other guys that are going to come. So you don't have to commit, but just think about that in your mind and just mull on it a little bit. And I know the old school community would love to see you at the race if you could make it out. So just wanted to throw that offer out there while the car is sitting here and before we start talking about, the past cars of the Losi XXX platform that you had so much success with too.
Well, first and foremost, man, I really appreciate the invite. And yeah. I'm doing my very best to see if I can make that happen. March is my 10-year anniversary. So I'm headed to Europe for a week. Anniversary of my wife and I. And, but yeah, I can always fit in time. It's a little bit busy time of year for me. Again, I'm not making excuses, but I think I'm going to do my best to see what I can do. Brian's kind of let me know about this from a few months ago. Just on a side note here, I was texting with 2 other names. I'll keep those nameless, right? Or maybe I'll tell you guys, but we won't announce it to anybody. But they were asking me about it as well. So
awesome.
This race is being thrown out to a lot of different people. Put it that way.
Awesome. We'd love to have you, Matt. Whatever we can do to help you get there, you let us know.
All righty.
I know it would mean a lot to you to be there, and I know if you can, you will. We'll put it that way, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, man. I was talking to Brian earlier today. I haven't picked up an off-road car in, it's 19 years, right?
Yeah.
It's not like riding a bike. I now wear glasses to see anything. I couldn't sit here much dependent on it. I can still see fine far away, but up close it's difficult. So the eyesight's different, right? Again, I'm just making up excuses when I get last, that kind of thing. I'm not going to have any time to kind of prepare for it. So it's kind of like a show up, run a couple laps and, move on. But yeah, it's running that B2 would definitely bring back some memories, right? It's been,
oh boy,
last time we ran that car, I think was 96, the 97 Reedy race in January. Yeah. Last time that car's ran.
Well, I love it. My good buddy Adam Rails, he's a vintage legend in his own right of modern racing. He won the Vintage Nationals in 16, and he's got a legit setup for the B2 that I used. And like I said, you'll just be amazed at how good these cars are right out off the trailer. So, if you do make the trip out, this car would be tested by Brian ahead of time, behind the scenes. It would have everything you'd need on. All you got to do is just get up there on that stand and have some fun with him. And again, it's just all about that. Legends class is really designed to be a class that protects you legends from, just the pressures of not competing in so long. Obviously Brian's going to go up there and, be a little bit more seasoned, but at the same time, he wants to have it enjoyable for all the guys. Joel's talked about that. And again, the race too is really about, nightlife things that we're planning, Q&A sessions at the track, some ceremony stuff,
autograph.
And so really just bringing you legends in the spotlight to kind of rekindle those memories. That's what Dirk and Kirby's vision was for this race. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And, it's legends like you guys that are going to make it possible. So it'll be first class event. So, and anything that you need leading up to, you just let us know.
Something else we can throw in there too is, we probably have a modern car built for them too. These cars handle so much better. I think you enjoy just seeing how much better these new cars handle too.
Yeah.
We'd have one of those built up just so you can run, the modern class.
Yeah, we have a 40 plus 2-wheel drive buggy class that's getting all this, traction with Brian being in it and stuff now. So
Yeah, 40 plus is really competitive. It's crazy.
yeah,
Me,
it's
Toki,
fun. Yeah,
Well,
it's
We
relaxing.
we might do a 50 plus for you and I.
There we go, man. I
Right?
have 50 this
All
year.
right.
Yeah, that's
So again,
it's great to think. Jeez.
yeah, well, it's good to hear. I mean, and another thing that Dirk has talked about too. The purpose of these live casts that we're having with you guys, a special guest, and Brian being confirmed tonight, along with Joel so far, is that we're having these every 2 weeks to just continue the snowball effect. Because the more people see, oh my gosh, Dunbar is going to be there, and Joel Johnson's going to be there, and oh, maybe Matt France is going to be there. Well, shoot, I should probably go. And now people are talking about all these other names, Hodap and Pavitas and Cliff Lett. It's like, trust me, we're talking, and you guys, Dirk can mention it. There's a list of drivers. You're just going to be blown of who this pipeline is that we have. So,
and I'm sure Matt's probably hearing that in the background. I mean, the old guys still talk, right, Matt? So
yes, we do.
You probably know more of what's going on than what we can really mention on today. But it's super cool. I didn't get to spend a ton of time with you because I left the first time in '89 and didn't really look back until about 10 years ago. And, already got to spend some time racing with Dunbar at the track. I've never really got to race with Dunbar because Dunbar came in right as I was leaving, actually. I think were you at the Matt, when did you officially start?
Well, actually, guys, check this out, man. I'm going to show you a picture of my first RC car.
Oh, man, here we go.
At my, check this shit out, right? I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's
it's
1981.
Holy cow.
It's an Audi. Yeah, it was 1981.
I see that.
I got that. And then, let's see, that obviously we broke that in like the first week, Then I think I wanted a Frog in like 1983, but then officially got started. I got a Mugen Bulldog in 1986, and then that's then RC10 in 87. So I mean, pretty much from that point on, it was full speed ahead. But 86 was the start. Summer of 86.
Wow.
86. I'm trying to remember if you were at my last race, which was the Winter Nats in '89. I didn't know if you
Let's see. They in Florida Winter Nats?
Yeah.
So I didn't go to that race until 97 because it was during school. I couldn't get out. Yeah, schedule wouldn't permit there. I think 97, I think, was the first year I went to that.
I still want to hold a race down there eventually as well. I think that would be awesome to get back out to Winter Park and do a.
That track's still there?
Yeah, it is. It's actually still there and running. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
Go one, go two, go crazy. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He was definitely a unique guy.
Yeah, so I guess a good comment here is, and this is a great bridge. So obviously you guys ran the B2s, B3s. Brian ran the XXs. Talk about the transition to the Triple X and how that platform kind of, transformed RC in a way. Because I guess where I'm coming from that comment is we hear a lot, and we structured the classes to where the XXX really is in its own class, like with the B4. We viewed the B4 and the XX are the cars that have to compete each other, whereas the B2, B3, and the XXs kind of compete against each other. So knowing someone that won a Worlds with both, talk about that transition a little bit and the car development from your perspective, and obviously Brian can chime in on that too. I'm just really curious to hear those comments, as is all the people on the comments here as well.
So we went. I left Associated in January of '97, right? So we were running the B2, and then the Cactus Classic in '97 was my first race with the Double X buggy with Losi. So I wasn't part of the B2 to B3 transition. I was part of the Double X to Triple X transition.
Right.
And I was. Kinwald and Junior and everybody else were pretty deep into that testing session before I got on board. We had quite a few test sessions. I was actually talking to Dunbar earlier this morning about those test sessions with Gil Jr. and myself out at Hot Rod, at Jimmy Babcock's track at Hot Rod. I guess we didn't understand the significance of that at the time, right? Here we are with Junior, whose mind is just going crazy with all these different ideas. I still have some note sessions from those, like written notes and handwritten notes and all that stuff, setup sheets. I came across all this shit. I don't know. It was in my mom's closet for the last 30 years, right?
Wow.
But I came across this stuff, and it talks about the setup and me making comments like Junior wanted to go this direction. I didn't. I wanted to go another direction. Junior would spend, 2 or 3 weeks getting ready for me to come down. We'd be out at Hot Rod. It'd be, 180 fucking degrees outside, winds blowing, and we're testing the XXX buggy, all this prototype shit. And, first lap, I shear a front arm off it or something, right? You can just see Junior just like steaming, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you can't break it. And I'm like, well, sorry.
Speaking of Jimmy,
we'd go down and he'd build something. He'd go back to Losi and rebuild it. And
he'd be out there with a Dremel, right?
Oh, yeah.
And some Mylar and some, speaking of Jimmy Babcock, I don't know if you even know this, Matt, but he is going to be race directing this event. We're bringing him in from California to work with Mod to do this event. He just commented, 2 of my old school homies, we traveled the country together. What's up, guys?
Hey, Jimmy.
Brian, Jimmy, and I did a lot of traveling together.
I pulled up this magazine article. This is a Houston Invitational. Remember, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
That's funny.
We had a lot of time together, man. We grew up together, basically. Right at the end of the day, we grew up together. We were just young adults, kind of finding our way, and we had such a good time.
We did. Yeah, I'm trying to think again. It wasn't until you were on Losi that we were on the travel team together, and then that's when we would start doing things at night, or I don't know, had a lot of energy back then. But and then I was doing. I think when Matt came on the team, I for whatever reason started doing better, and I'm sure he brought a lot of good ideas and car setup. But we pit together after a while, and we did run different combinations of setup. I do recall that, but Matt was really fast during that time, with the triple X especially. But there's some. I was just looking at magazines, like there's times here's one we were in pits together. It said Matt Francis and Brian Dunbar listening to Club Dunbar music and wrenching. But yeah, that was us, right? Let's see. Let me see that.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, that was a great time. I mean, didn't realize back then that the years were going to be few and far between. And when I got out in 2003 unexpectedly when I was in California. I just ended up taking on a different job and leaving Orion and just kind of dropping it all together. And Matt stayed in it for a while, but when this race was out here, like I was saying earlier, the Columbus race, having him come out for that. I think he came out once to Louisville. But yeah, man, we had a good time and a lot of good stories. A lot of it I can't remember. And a lot of the people were a part of that. But it is fun for somebody to bring up a story that I couldn't recall from back in the day. I don't know. Let's see. I was trying to write some notes here. I remember Matt was one of the guys that liked like Pantera or like that rage and music. What do you call that music?
So, I mean, anything rock, right? One thing about my music taste, it really kind of ended around 1990. I still listen to Hair Nation, and the same shit is on playing in my truck all day long.
Still listening to it, Matt?
Still do, man. Still do.
You do, no kid. Everybody gets shit about that.
Oh yeah.
Man, and I remember we always had to get a bunch of water for Matt before we went to the track. I think you were one that taught me how to always have a bottle of water around because I mean, you had to have water, and it had to be a certain brand, didn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I was like, this water.
Right, that's old guys. Drew's got a beer. We're sitting here drinking water, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I got kidney stones once, and I had to end up. I had to switch, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good test.
Amazing.
There was one time when we had that test session in California. We were talking about that earlier, where they just flew us out. I think you drove down from Sacramento, and I flew out. We went to what was the track called?
Which one? So,
The one in was it Huntington Beach? SoCal? Was it No, not SoCal.
Yeah, SoCal.
I don't know. The last one there in Huntington Beach or whatever, but maybe it's what it was. But yeah, we came down. I think Brian may have been there, and that's when Cavalier would pit next to him.
Yeah.
But we would, we sat there for a week and just tested that Triple X, and I think that's when you kind of found out what your setup was going to be from that point on, right? Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything was kind of built on. There was a couple different setups. There was Brian's direction, Kinwald, and that is. And a lot of people kind of went that way. I don't know. I was probably stubborn and kind of went a little bit different direction. But everything was really based on Junior's ideas. And then each of us kind of took them and went from there. But Junior was really the kind of the catalyst to he'd come up with an idea, and then we'd work with that idea. And he knew kind of what I liked versus what Brian liked. And then of course, Brian Kinwald, that is, would create his own stuff, right? His mind was similar to Junior's in terms of creativity. And then, mine went a little different direction as well. So what's that?
OCRC.
OCRC. Yeah. So I don't think I raced at OCRC.
Yeah, I think that was after that.
Yeah,
that is the most recent one that they've had in Southern California. But they don't have any tracks there right now, I don't think.
Junior and I did most of our testing at Hot Rod.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
The outdoor.
Yeah, wow. That's cool. So the car that you won the World with in 01, was it the first edition Triple X that came out, kind of the CR edition, or was it more of like the morph into where the BK1 edition was? Do you remember much of that?
No, it was the original Triple X.
It was.
So remember that race was pushed back it was supposed to be in August of 2011 or September of 2011 or 2001. Sorry.
2001, yeah.
Yeah. And we got pushed back to 2002. May of 2002 is when we went there.
That was Triple X 4-wheel. The Triple X 2-wheel came out in 99 Finland.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But we were still running that car. We didn't change that car. We didn't change over to the CR or the BK2 or whatever it was. It was just the standard car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did y'all feel a big difference in the Triple X versus the XX when you first changed over?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. The Triple X buggy, I always thought was the best car that they ever did, right? That I was part of. The BK2 had its moments, but the Triple X I thought was better. And then the CR also had a couple tracks it was good on. But we were going back and forth with that stuff in the original testing for the Triple X. I mean, it went Triple X, BK2, and then CR, right? That's the chronological order of that. CR,
they had one. They had one in the middle called the what the hell was it? EA edition.
Okay.
Oh yeah, EA, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a hybrid right before the Kinwald car, I believe.
I think I remember.
Dunbar, what was one of your funnest moments of you two guys back in the day?
Oh, I always give bad shit about this, but the '97 Worlds. Why did I win that race, Matt?
Why did you win?
Why didn't I win? Remember you stopped and let Kinwald go at the line because y'all thought Pavitas was going to win for Associated?
No, that was Nationals, right?
Nationals, that's what I meant. Yeah.
In Houston. Was that Houston?
Right. Yeah, it was Houston.
That's right.
K&M Raceway.
Yeah.
But I would have gotten maybe box art. So we were like really close in points, and I didn't know. I think we didn't know. I mean, if the Losi guys, I guess you all had talked and thought, Pavitas is going to be Kinwald. Kinwald's the only one who's got a chance to win. But I actually I think I finished so well in the last race that my points would have been it would have been enough to beat Kenwald and get first. And Matt thought that Kenwald needed all the points he could get, so he stopped at the line and let Kenwald go, so he get the most points to beat Mark. Did you do that?
I mean,
and so then
it sucks, right? Because you're hurting one person to help another, and I didn't really know it. We didn't.
No, you didn't know.
It's like
it's for a team. That's what we did for team back then, though.
Right.
You drove for your Losi. It was just Losi and Associated. Now you got all these teams, but back then it's like I still don't want to drive. I mean, I think Associated's got one of the better cars out there, but I don't want to drive it. It's the enemy. I just can't. I don't know. I mean, I know they're good, but it's just always going to be that way, that rival. But yeah, that was fun. Being on that team, right, man? I mean, that was everybody pitched in and helped, and I think. I remember I was thinking about the 99 Worlds when we did come out with the double X, and we always triple X. We always came out with something like right at like you get to the Worlds and here's your new car. Like,
right.
Man, come on, like you got your car pretty good, but then the new technology, and you knew it was going to be better in the end. But I remember kind of struggling with that car. I had a hard time getting used to that car. There was one time I threw my double X back out on the track, and this was after the Worlds, but it was terrible. But finally got it figured out and did well with it. And but I remember that race. It was like if you're not doing well, and it's one of those prototype races, Junior will pick you and be like, hey man, I want you to put this on your car. You're like, damn it, I'm out of it. You're going to be the test dummy now. So I remember putting something. He did something in my setup. I don't know what it was, suspension, and he made it real soft or something, and it worked. It worked, but of course it was too late for me to do any to make the main. But yeah, I mean, I remember being the guinea pig, going out and making being that guy, and then maybe they used it somebody else on the team to do better in the main.
I mean, hell, they're still doing NASCAR, right?
Really hard track.
Maverick Riggs posted that Easton said the original XXX Triple X was the best car. So I think Matt kind of highlighted that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. I just remember that track in Finland, Brian. That track in Finland was really, really hard. It was so flat, and it was so different than what we were used to running on.
Remember, Yuka had a really high roll center in the four-wheel drive. I remember his roll center was like he flipped the pivot upside down or something like that, but it kept the car from rolling over, and that's what gave him traction. You just had to create your own traction that way. That's the first time I think I've ever seen a roll center that high in an off-road car.
Yeah, he was on another level in that race.
Yeah, that was his home track, I believe, though.
Yeah, that he was incredible at that race.
Yeah, he dominated with that four-wheel drive there for a couple of years for sure, man.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Guys, we could do this forever, and I wish we could.
Sure.
I know we're getting close to time. I was gonna see, Matt, if you can make it, man, we'd love it. Dunbar, I look forward to seeing you soon.
Tell me again the weekend, guys.
Tell me again the 28th through the 30th of March.
Okay. See.
And if you need anything at all, Matt, there are several of us that's going to talk about. There's a couple of things we got to talk about before we get off that I've been committed to the team. One is we do have the Harrah's Casino that's about 20 minutes away. A lot of us were thinking about staying there, so I'll do a post so we could have a little fun. Sit and tell some stories. Drink a little drink if we want to, whatever. Just reminisce. Possibility for that. And then there's been a lot of talk about trophy girls, Brian Dunbar. And so, Matt, just so you know, Brian Dunbar is in charge of getting trophy girls to the event. So
I don't know where I'm going to find these girls at, but we'll figure it out.
We don't want vintage. We don't want vintage trophy girls.
No vintage.
You got to find some modern age. Right?
Yeah.
We might have to reach out to the young guys. I think it's kind of out of our game and element nowadays, isn't it? But Brian, I've seen some of your pictures online, brother. Just any of those that you had on the boat with you last summer will be fine with me.
Okay. I'm sure they'll get in line just to do this. But yeah,
I'm sure, right?
We'll figure something out. We might have to go to some crazy website, find something. I don't know. We'll find them.
Deja Vu, is that still around?
Maybe, yeah.
I'm sure it is.
They used to get Hooter girls, right, Matt? Remember they used to get the Hooter girls to come in?
Yeah,
I think I remember that down in Florida.
Lake Park, they always got the Hooter girls.
Yep. And then it
I
was a
think
Wings girl.
I think Louisville has like the original or like the really famous Deja Vu down in Louisville, actually. So I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Dunbar's like, yeah, he's kind of passing it off.
You know,
you got to take guns out of that area.
They're out there on the poles on the track. You know.
Yeah, right.
Good times.
Yeah. You asked me my favorite memory of Matt. I think remember when we went to Alabama, Matt?
Yeah, Lucky Battles place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We traveled a lot, but that was the only race I beat you. That was it. Every other race, I think we were at the outdoor Loamy track, and I remember I was like, "Yeah, I probably beat him."
Well, look, man, there was so many events, these small events, right? That I'd go to these races, and it was more impactful if I lost, right? Just because of what my name was, you know. I mean, in that event, I mean that was hugely impactful for the local scene, for you. Look, I don't care who I lose to. I fucking hated it. I hated losing, but you know, in the big picture, you had to. I did understand that it was impactful, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like you were some local guy, right? I mean, you were, you know, you beat me in a lot of races, right? But those local ones were I did well on a lot of those.
Yeah, you were amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Hawkins is, you know, I'm kind of coming to this, you know, in the old school world, just the last 7 or 8 years, just really got a passion for it. But talking to so many people in the world, you know, in this nation that we call it, in this forum, and just the people around me, it's like Pavitas and Francis are the two names where people are like, wow, those guys were the badasses that broke the Masami and the Kinwald reign, you know, and so I think that's kind of where it came from. And then obviously, you know, I still, you know, hear Jason Rona talk about the '97 Worlds and how Dunbar kind of split Masami and Kinwald on that podium. And so, yeah, I mean,
9th to 2nd, baby.
Yeah, from my perspective, you know, Matt, you know, I know you saw it back then, but even now, like, people really regard you and Pavitas and Dunbar as those guys that kind of broke that Masami Kinwald reign in the 90s, because they're really, I mean, there was only a few people that ousted Masami in the 90s in the world. You know, there's only like 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive.
Pretty awesome. So hey, I see a name over in the comments, Kyle Reed.
Oh,
yeah. I think last time I saw Kyle was like 1991. I hope he's doing well, man.
We're trying to get him here, even if he doesn't race. He's going to try.
He might come.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good, man. It'd be
I'm
good
gonna.
to see him.
Pavitas will be there if I had to go get his ass and drag him there by his feet.
Yeah,
but I think, you know, it's gonna be epic, and that's kind of, you know, Drew and I have kind of, you know, he's, you know, one epic event, right? You know, getting everybody together, and kind of the vision was to see, you know, the old guys there with some of the newer races. We got to pass this on, right? We're not going to be around forever, and I think them being able to sit down and hear the stories on the way things used to be back in the day, and you know, back when sponsorships weren't just given to everybody for a 50% discount, where you truly had to earn them, and you know, so I think some of them stories would truly help them. And you know, we got to carry this on. I had a long talk with somebody today, about a 2-hour talk about, you know, where is the, you know, vintage community going, and you know, how many years are truly left of this, and if we don't, you know, pass it on to our kids and continue to get people interested in it, you know, past is going to be gone, you know. And you know, how many more events is it going to be possible to get all these guys together? I mean, there's a lot of us getting on up there, and I would love it to go on for another 10 years, but I don't know that it will. You know what I mean?
So I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Where do you find all the parts?
Well, you know, Old School RC, which is my forum that I've had now for about 10 years, Matt, is one good spot. There's some reproduction stuff that's coming back around now, just because it pushes, you know, Team Associates coming back out with cars. Yoakum's coming back out with cars, you know. Tamaya's never really stopped. So there's some stuff out there, and we work really closely with companies and, trying to get stuff made. And it's the smaller little communities that do this. We got, several of our sponsors, Moto Obscure. We got people that are remaking the parts, Matt. Especially the Losi stuff. It's just not there. And as much as I hate to hear it or say it, I don't know that we'll ever see Losi come back. I mean, they had the shot. They had the shot to make a car, and they ended up making it. What damn scale was it? 1/18th or something? I don't even know. And but Team Associated starting to come back with more stuff as well. So they're out there.
Yeah,
we can. There's ways to get them, and the good thing is with the companies coming back out and people starting to make the parts, it's not costing you $150 for a pair of front A arms for a B2.
Right. Yeah, and a shout out to our title sponsor. Yeah, and a shout out to Jason Rona, JConcepts. He's really supporting this race. We're going to have him on soon to talk more about that. But he's doing repopping the bodies, and man, even him repopping these vintage wheels with the pin rears and the bearing fronts. I mean, has been life changing for people that want to start running these things like we're doing. Because we were like struggling to get paid 30, 40, $50 for a pair of bearing front wheels, and then Jason repops these things for $10. It's like, now we can actually get out and race these cars and put laps on them and try to get setups and try to make them more durable. And I think that's really where it's all kind of spawned too, right? So it's going to be great. The facility is amazing. We got so many great sponsors lined up, and the legends are rolling in. So whatever you could do to come out, let us know, and if we can help, we will. But we're going to do a lot of cool things, not just at the track. We're going to announce those more later, but it's going to be pretty epic couple days. And even if you can only come out for a day, we'd just love to have you and make that day a really special too. So just keep us posted on what you can do, and man, we'll do whatever we can to get you there.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate the invite for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I got this B2. We'll have it ready, and I'll have Dunbar test it. You just go up and show up and go up there and put your glasses on, see what you can still do,
Well, I don't have my B2. I mean, I have it actually. My buddy Dave Goss has it.
Yeah.
I know he does a bunch of the vintage stuff, but he's got my B2. It's probably, I don't know, 90% together. The body and wings there, but my Triple X buggy battery still soldered in.
Oh wow!
Oh, so you still have the Triple X? Yeah.
Sweet. He's got them both.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I really don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you do come, we'll have a car ready there for you. You don't need to bring any. If you want to bring your cars, if you come and put them on display, we're going to have a spot for that too. And we're going to do some really cool things for the fan, the racers that come and the fans that come that aren't even racing. Just so we'll have things for you guys to sign, things to see, question and answer sessions, and it's all going to be about the community, as Dirk has said. We're putting a race on. There's going to be competition there, but this race is a lot about bringing the community and the legends together to create this vision of something special that no one's ever done before. That's really what the goal is.
And Matt, I'll make a commitment that I'll loosen Brian's front left wheel nut before the finals.
I want to show up to his track and beat him.
Yeah, he probably will. He thinks it's not. It is kind of like riding a bike, honestly, a little bit. I mean, other than this, like learning jumps again and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. The new cars are cool. Like I said, it's harder to drive the older cars a little bit, but I've got a little bit of work to do on this one. And I saw Eddie's was getting around the track pretty good the other day. Drew, I might want to steal some ideas from him, but I think he had an associated car.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll work together on that and put together like I said, Matt would show up if he comes, and he'll have a car that's ready to hit the track, just like Japan in '95, and it'll be good it'll be good from the start for sure.
Yeah, right off the trailer, man. Right
off the trailer, baby.
It'll be like a silver platter. So, but yeah, like I said, that's just a part of it, and anything you can do, like I said, that last weekend in March, we'd love to have you. We struggled so hard to get that date with Rona and all the other events that are going on in the country and the world for that matter. And it's not easy to get a schedule on a big race national platform, because you don't want to compete with any other big races either. You're trying to have your own weekend where everybody knows about it can come and not say, oh, well, I got to go to the INS race and, Michigan the week before. So we had to schedule around it, but we made it work, and we're putting our foot forward and just cranking along, man. There it is.
Well, it's look at that, man. That's great.
Yeah, there it is. There's the replica with his IFMAR trophy. So Dunbar will have that on display too. And that car actually sits out in the, and that's the runner car that sits out in the display in the hobby shop. And then he's obviously got that replica in his living room. So it's really cool stuff. And we're trying to build something special here. Dirk and Kirby, they were the visionaries here. But we've got a really good team that's putting it together, that's crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's to make this thing like really super cool. So anyway. Well, Brian, I got to pop off here soon. Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Dirk or Matt or Brian, before we pop off here?
Go ahead, Matt.
I'll say this, man. You guys got me pumped up. You guys got me pumped up for to try and make this event. Brian's been bringing it up. He brought it up to me a couple months ago, or a few months ago, whenever it was. And it's pretty awesome, man. You guys put in a lot of work, and I appreciate that, and really appreciate the nod on here. It means a lot to bring back some stories and relive some time. So I'm honored, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for the time, Brian. I mean, the stories were amazing, but I'll let you say what you want to say here.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot more. I mean, there's just some of them probably aren't, not appropriate for this viewing audience, but yeah, man. I mean, some of my best times again were with Matt. It's nice to to bring all this stuff back up again. I hear him just talk about RC cars. I looked up to him for a long time, and again, it was like I said, I feel like I got a lot better racing alongside him, and to beat him that one day, like just to win the actual race, heads ups, just a heads up race, he and I basically, and that will stand out. But yeah, I mean, he was on a tear for years. And I got to witness it and see what he did, and drove his ass off. And he was always a great guy in the pits too. I mean, he's just affected a lot of folks out there. And so, all that carries on today with me. And when I go racing, and I try to remember what Brian Kinwall did, and Matt and guys that always just took the time to help other people, and try to carry that on. I don't think you see a lot of that as much with these new racers sometimes, but it's like a bunch of kids out there that want to play on their phones, and we were the kids that wanted to go outside. We wanted to go do fun stuff when the race was shut down. Of course, there wasn't as much work on the cars, I don't think, back then like there is now, like 2 maybe, but I don't know. We found time to do stuff. We had fun. Matt was one of the people that kind of came out with that group of guys that broke away, and forever memories. Probably lost me some races being hungover with these races, but it was definitely worth the extracurriculars, though, I think.
Awesome.
The experiences will I think the experience will never be matched.
Right.
I mean, I'm biased, right? But we grew up together, man. That's the only way you can think of it. We grew up together, and we became the people we are, and it's amazing. So many good stories, and we could go on and on and on. I just wish there was, as much as I'm as happy as I should say, as glad as I am, there was not cameras nearby. It would have been nice if somebody would have documented a little bit more about what we did inside the hotel rooms and the time we spent wrenching, and it was just good times, man. A lot of good times.
Taking the headboards off beds and using them as pit tables or whatever we did.
Yeah.
That's one cool thing about that's going to happen about this event is it's going to be broadcasted, right? So there's going to be live interviews. It's going to be on, right? It's going to be, I think, the first, real vintage event that's actually going to be broadcasted, and, Mod's going to be doing the video. And so, yeah, there's times I wish we had cameras back in their days, and there's times I'm glad we didn't, you know what I mean?
That's for sure.
But this is going to be epic. It's a different world than what we lived in. We were pretty carefree at the track back in the days. We didn't have the distractions we have nowadays with social media and the different things. I think we were, just really, really more focused. I know I had a tradition that I did before most races that I wouldn't want somebody seeing on film for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blast for sure, man. I can't thank y'all enough Dunbar and Francis. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
You got anything to close it out?
Yeah, much appreciated, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
stay
in touch, guys. Stay in touch, y'all.
See y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Brian.
Bye. See ya.